Hello everyone, I am Manohar Kumar, Assistant Professor of English from Government College Devgarh. As you know, in the previous lesson we talked about the 18th, 16th and 17th stanza of the poem Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard by Thomas Gray. And today we are going to the next stanza of this poem, the 18th stanza of this poem. As we already discussed in the previous lessons that this poem is very long poem and one of the greatest elegies of English literature, and uh, very important elegy, very important poem for BA second year students, and one of the most typical poems of Thomas Gray. Uh, as we already discussed that Thomas Gray was one of the most obscure and typical poets who belongs to transition period. So this poem is also a obscure poem, and we have to take it seriously. We have to study it seriously. So the 18th stanza of this poem: struggling pangs of conscious truth to hide, to quench the blushes of ingenious shame, or heap the shrine of luxury and pride, with incense kindled at the muse flame. The struggling pangs of conscious means feelings of shame, feelings of guilt, truth to hide, to quench means satisfy the blushes of ingenious means natural, genuine shame, and heap the shrine of luxury and pride. Luxury and pride means rich and proud persons. Luxury and pride are personified here with incense kindled. Incense means here fragrant substance burnt at the time of worship. During the worship we burn the fragrant substance as agarbatti and other things to before the shrine place, and kindled means aroused at muse flames means flame of poetry. So here the poet again describes the innocent and humble lives of liveried forefathers. The poet says their humble destiny prevented them from suppressing truth, which always seeks to come out. These poor people and the destiny of the poor people, humble people, prevented them from suppressing truth, from uh, concealing truth, which always seeks to come out and become known. So these humble people ne- do not conceal the truth. They always disclose the truth and become known. They did not commit any sins of which they had need to feel ashamed. They did not commit any sins, any crimes of which they had need to feel ashamed. So they do always the acts, the work which are always simple, always guiltless, always crimeless. Nor did they degrade themselves by dedicating their poems to wealthy and luxury loving patrons in words of fulsome praise or extravagant flattery. These humble people do not phrase any patrons or do not do extravagant flattery before the patrons, before the rich people, like some people, like the rich people, or some people do before the shrine and burnt and burn and burn the fragrant substance uh, to please the god. So this is like a work of flattery. So these humble people uh, do not any act, any work which is degraded, which is uh, full of, which is shameful. So here the poet says that these humble people do only simple works. Here the poet says they never lost their sense of right and wrong, and the sense of wrong always made them blush with shame. And these men did not degrade themselves by flattering the proud and the wealthy, as was the habit of poets who, in dedicating their poems to their patrons, lavished extravagant and exaggerated praise of them. They do not praise their patrons, and now the next stanza of this poem. Far from the maddening crowd's ignoble strife, their sober visage never learnt to stray along the cool, sequestered vale of life. They kept the noiseless tenure of their way. So, in this stanza, is described the calm, peaceful life which these men once lived. So here again the poet describes the innocent and peaceful life of the liveried people. Here he says, far from the maddening, maddening means maddening noisy, crowds ignoble strive. Crowds ignoble means base, not noble, trivial, strive, hard work. Their sober visage never learn to stray. Stray means wander. Along the cool, sequestered vale of life. Sequestered vale of life means isolated valley of life. They kept the noiseless tenor of their way. Tenor means course. So, here in this stanza, the poet says, these men lived far from the scenes of service, struggle, and restless activity in crowded cities dominated by sin. They had simple, humble desires and they kept away from evil courses. They lived in the peaceful retirement of the countryside, peaceful environment of the countryside, and they never deviated from the peaceful path of a simple existence. So here the poet says, far from the maddening, noisy crowds, ignoble strife. Noisy crowds means city crowds, the life of city crowds, which is full of criminal works, which is full of sinful works. So these people, these humble people, far from the crowded, ignoble life of cities, they always lived in countryside, far from the city crowded life, which is full of criminal works, which is full of crimes, which is full of sinful acts. Their sober, their simple wishes, their simple desires never learn to stray. Stray means wander. Their desires are very simple and they never wander from one place to another. Their desires are very simple. Along the cool, sequestered vale of life, cool, calm, sequestered vale of life means isolated valley of light. They live the tranquil life of countryside. They lived the isolated life of countryside. Along they kept the noiseless tenure of their way. They kept the noiseless. Noiseless means peaceful. Tenure means course of their way, course of life. They lived the peaceful course of life. So here the poet again describes the innocent and peaceful lives of liveried forefathers. So these men lived far from the scenes of service, struggle, and restless activities of the crowds of people in the cities where the noise is almost maddening and where sin and evil dominate human life. These men had no wild ambitions. They never followed evil courses, and their desires were humble and ordinary. They led a tranquil and retired existence, and they never deviated from the peaceful path of life. So, they always lived in the peaceful and tranquil life of countryside. So, in this stanza, the poet has condemned city life as being evil and sinful. Here, the poet has condemned the city life as being evil and sinful. So here the countryside and the country life is better than city life. So this is the element of nature poetry. This is the element of romanticism. So this gray is called, the gray is regarded the precursor of romanticism. So here in this poetry we can also see the elements of romanticism. So here the poet likes countryside life and he condemns the city life. So it was your 18th or 19th stanza of this poem. Thank you for today.